my darling Fumi Nation. How are you? How are we? Anyway, my darlings, I'm bringing back something old so that it can be new again. I am bringing back what am I wearing to start the episode. I had asked you whether you wanted me to do that, and a lot of you said yes. I am so excited about this because this is just a sheath dress. Are we living and loving? It is sky blue, baby, sky blue. And I got this at ASOS for £28. It's a full length. I'm going to put a demonstration up for you. It's a full length and it is absolutely gorgeous. You can wear this to a wedding. Yep, because it's not white. You can wear this to dinner. You can wear this with flats. You can wear this in a multitude of different ways. £28. Cheapy cheap. Live and absolutely love it. And I love the back as well. Do you see? Gorgeous. I know a lot of you will say, for me, your shapewear, what kind of bra, what kind of underwear are you wearing? Darlings, we are almost done. We are almost done. Remember, this has been a self-funded business and you're going to love it. You're going to love it. And yes, I thought I would wear this to show you guys today. Is this not gorgeous? Is this not simple, elegant, free, gorgeous? Spring is in the air at last, and I'm living and loving. Okay, so I'll put the link for you below so that if you want to, you can get it for yourselves as well. So why are we here? We are here because we had the beautiful Kristin Cabot, who sat at Oprah's podcast to talk about the shenanigans and the disaster of what happened to her last year when she went to a Coldplay concert with her boss. And before you could say whoop-de-doo, the camera was panned on them, and the rest, as they say, is history, because they had 300 billion clicks on that snippet from the Coldplay concert.
Oh, look at these two. All right, come on, you're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
And we only have 8 billion people in the world, on the planet. So Kristin Cabot came, she looked really smart, you know, very calm and everything. And she talked about her experience leading up to the Coldplay concert with her peer, so to speak, colleague, and what happened and the destruction that she suffered, the aftermath of it, with her separated husband, with her children, with her job, and how so many women, a lot of women, majority of the people that threatened her life, said things to her, took pictures of her, walked up to her with her children, so on and so forth, were women. So let me start by saying this. Kristin is an extremely, as far as I'm concerned, from what I can observe, is amazing with her career. She is intelligent and she has managed her career for over 20 years and done a phenomenal job. She was separated from a husband that she had not been married to for even up to 2 years. For me, that was kind of sort of a red flag. The children that she has is from a previous marriage, previous relationship. And from there, she was now talking about the disdain or, you know, the disappointment of her marriage to Andy. Coincidentally, her lover and her separated husband are both called Andrew. So we're going to call the previous husband Andrew, and then we're going to call the lover Andy. So she had disclosed to Andy that she was going through a separation. And from there, Andy now also said, I am also going through a separation. It has been in the works for many years. And that was how they began to kiki in the office. My darling Kristin Cabot, that's the first red flag. I am just telling you that you don't have relationships in the workspace. Does not matter what you are going through. That is something that you should not have been talking about with a man in your workspace. You shouldn't have. You shouldn't have even been talking about that with anybody at the workspace, because you hold a certain hierarchy. Familiarity breeds resentment. Let me just say that. You have a certain hierarchy, especially because you're HR. Nobody should be knowing your personal business like that, because personally for me, it involves another person who is not there to speak for himself. How about that? Especially when you had said that this husband of yours, of which you have been separated from, is a very nice, wonderful person. She went on to say that herself and Andy were going to speak to the board about their blooming relationship because they began to catch feelings for each other. Here is my thing again. I would have waited until I was divorced. You already have grown children from one relationship. You are ending another relationship that did not even clock 2 years. And then you are jumping yet into a third. It shows for me that you are not very stable, that you're not very focused, that you have to be in a relationship. You want to be in a relationship. Your hand is on one branch and you're not going to let go until you hang on to another tree branch. Maybe the lesson learned here was that you need to focus on you, focus on your life, focus on your children, and focus on building that part of you of which is lacking. And I find this a lot. A lot of Fumi Nation come to me, phenomenal careers, lawyers, doctors, architects, engineers, but they struggle with their daily life. And these are the life lessons of which I want to try to encourage and tell you. I think, Kristin, the lesson learned for you here, which you're still trying to find, was that slow down. And because you didn't slow down, you were met with literally a headlock of publicity. I feel so bad. I feel so bad because she had talked about getting death threats. Nobody should be getting any death threats. All of us have sinned. All of us have done something stupid. All of us have made mistakes. All of us have done something wrong. Every single one of us, repeatedly. So there's absolutely no right for anybody to walk up to her and be clicking on her and be making her feel bad and giving her death threats. But I will tell you, Kristin, my darling, as far as I am concerned, why was this such a universal bond? Because nobody likes the mistress. Because it comes off as if nobody cares for the wife at home. And that's why you have to listen to my rules. My rules are what? My rules are bulletproof. Because you should, like I have said, waited until your divorce. You should have also told him we cannot do anything, move sideways until you have finalized your divorce. It does not matter that your former husband was going with a partner. It didn't matter. It did not matter. You know why? Because your former husband's partner did not have a relationship. Yours did. And it was not bulletproof. You didn't see it through. You have to see it through. That's why I said don't sleep until your wedding night. Wait. I know it can be hard. Take a whole bunch of cold showers. Wait. I would not have gone to any concert with him. Why? We have not told the company of which we all work at. And then I'm going to allow him to embrace me. The possibility is that it's possible. Because out of all of those people at the Coldplay concert, you would never have thought that Chris Martin would shout you guys out. And he said it as he saw it. He said, oh, because you guys, you ducked, you moved sideways here, there. You see that they're very shy of they're having an affair. You are having an affair. Oprah was wonderful with you. I am going to be very frank with you because I want other women to understand your mistakes, your carelessness, your oversight. You're thinking it can never happen to you. You're thinking that, oh, it's okay. Always think of the other women. You talked about how other women were really harsh with you. All those other women were supporting Andy's wife. That's who they were supporting, and indirectly they were also supporting themselves, because they were at home when their husbands were out and they were dilly-dallying with the likes of someone like you who did not do a thorough checkup. I did not like that you were blaming everybody. You were blaming the Pan Am at the Coldplay concert. You were blaming Chris Martin. You were blaming Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow was doing a job. And even when she reached out to you, you were so in your feelings, you did not reach back out to her. You want to blame everybody, but you don't take accountability. The one person that you should blame is you, because you had your pants on fire for this guy. You had a crush on him while you're going through paperwork of a separation of a good man who loves your kids from a previous relationship. Make it make sense.
Stop playing the victim card. Kristin Cabot, the woman who went viral for grinding on her boss at the Coldplay concert, she just did an interview with Oprah, and it's clear she's trying to rebrand as this feminist icon. You might be able to sell Oprah a pile of BS, but it's not going to work on me. They were holding hands in the interview. It was very kumbaya, all about how she was publicly shamed unfairly as a woman. No, no, no. I would have said the same thing if you were a man. I judge men, women, black, white, everybody equally. At the end of the day, you were on your second husband with young kids at home, you're the head of human resources, and you were out at a concert throwing back drinks and grinding on your boss. Your behavior was a little whorish, okay? Maybe you're from the Strait of Hormuz, but you can't act like you're some innocent little pansy. Being a victim has become such a currency to these liberal elites. Of course, Oprah is going to help Kristin rehab her image, just like the New York Times. They did this piece, The Ritual Shaming of the Woman at the Coldplay Concert. Hot take, I don't think she needs to be burned at the stake, but a little bit of shame coming back to society isn't necessarily a bad thing, okay? Shame went out the window the second the Kardashians stepped on the scene and we discovered Kim on her back in that tape. So Kristin Cabot, she was fooling around with her boss when she shouldn't have been, but you know what? The boss is hot. It's not the end of the world, but don't try to rebrand now like you're some feminist who's gonna go give speeches and support other women and female empowerment. Just bring it down a notch. And where things get weird, she tells Oprah that her second husband, pictured here, kind of a hot, rugged guy. Kristin, we sort of have the same type. He was at the Coldplay concert too. Apparently he was there with another woman. She was there with another guy. They hadn't even filed for divorce yet, and they'd been married less than 2 years and were already seeing other people. I think they're all swingers. In my unprofessional opinion, you're all swingers. All the behavior is a little bit whorish, and now in the 11th hour, you're trying to rebrand as a feminist icon so you can get back in the good graces of women. To put things in perspective, as a child of divorce, if you're in middle school and your mom remarries someone else, and then less than 2 years later, they're both dating other people, but they haven't filed for divorce, that is very bizarre. That is a mom who's probably great in her professional life and her career, but her personal life is a hot mess. But Oprah, she's not much of a family person. I mean, she's got Stedman for breakfast, Gail for lunch, and that's about it. And she was working overtime to rehab Kristin Cabot's image. Why are we even rehabbing her image? She's a nobody. Let's just move on. So my final message is this. It's 2026. We don't live in an era like we did decades ago where you have someone who's 100% the victim, someone who's 100% the oppressor. That old girl boss feminism isn't going to work anymore. Kristin, you are just as culpable, and women and men have to take responsibility for their own actions.
It doesn't make sense. And you all went as a group. All the women were there from your office. Go with them. But to stand there and being hugged up, that was where you got crucified. Because it was wrong. Because it was wrong. And look at how it turned out. Andy left you there to fry. It turned out he wasn't honest. It turned out that there's nothing like a separation. The wife was hearing it for the first time. I remember because they got two beautiful boys, big boys.
Do you still talk to Andy Byron, your former boss?
No, I ended communication with Andy in mid-fall.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big miss on honesty and integrity. He wasn't the person he represented himself to be to me, and lying is not a non-negotiable for me.
What does that mean, actually?
It means he missed the mark on being as honest as he could have been with me. And at the end of the day, Oprah, I was the one left
Meaning he wasn't separated? Because what you're implying to me, what I'm hearing, is that he really wasn't separated. Is that what you're trying to say?
I want to be really careful because the world spoke for me and on my behalf, and I don't want to do that to somebody else in their family. I don't feel comfortable. But I will say, a lot of what was represented to me was not true.
Okay.
I also want to say that being left.
But will you verify again, as you said to us earlier, that he had told you, when you told him you were separated, he had said to you he's going through the same thing?
Unequivocally.
Okay.
Unequivocally.
So you believed when you were standing with him at the Coldplay concert that he was separated?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Zero doubt. Zero doubt.
And here's the thing for me. When you said, as soon as it got panned on you at the Coldplay concert, you immediately thought of your husband because their family is very private. You immediately thought of your children. You immediately thought of your work, of your company, of whom you work for. Those are all the reasons that you have to think of before you went to the concert with him. Why? Because like you said, you had high noons. Do you see why I don't drink alcohol? Because you become loose. And for me, I like to have my faculties intact. If I do something wrong, I did something wrong. I knew it was wrong and I did it, regardless. And I might have a reason for it. But I never like to behave in any way under any kind of influence. Any kind of influence. I don't drink alcohol because I get headaches. But again, I have seen what it can do to you. Something where you would have said, no, thank you. Okay. So you were loose in the sense that you were not put together in your mind and thought. You were not. And that was why you were like, well, I haven't been out in a while. I want to go and have fun. I love Coldplay. They were playing Yellow. And then boom! Like winning the lottery, which many people do not win. You won a lottery that you did not want. And it magnified. And I am sorry because I think that you got... It's like a sledgehammer killing an ant. You were punished too much. You did deserve some sort of punishment because it was reckless. It was careless. Let's call it what it is. Come on. We all know what this is. Your pants were on fire. You might have gone to bed with him that night. You might have. Yes. I said, let's talk about this tomorrow at the office. All that foreplay is what will get you into trouble. Cut it off. And had you done that and had a cold shower, you just might have said to yourself, wait, hold on a minute. Let me see how this relationship is going with Andy. And do you see? Poor choice yet again. So that is 1, 2, 3. And how many other relationships in between? No, Kristin, you have to take accountability. On top of which, she also let go of her job. And she felt that Andy, the boyfriend, was offered so many other jobs. She wasn't, and she's a single mom raising her children. Again, like I said, because this is where you should have had your focus. This is where, even at the company, Andy, thank you. But you know what? I need to focus on my work. End of. Not that you're going through a separation. Not that you're going to be a single mama. You're not going to do all of that. You know why? As a mother. And that's where I feel for you. When your daughter said, Mom, let's go. And knowing that they must have gone through a lot because of your careless mistake. That's hurtful. And I am so sorry for you about that. I truly am. You did not deserve that. Your children did not deserve that. And there have been many women who have had relationships with other men and not thought about the woman at home. But I think what happened was, this was it. You were caught. You were caught red-handed. And for me, it just irks me a little bit that you don't take accountability of all the little steps that you could have taken, and this would never have taken place. Never have taken place. I have worked in offices before. I have had guys who have had crushes on me. And let me add to it, I've had crushes on them. And I said, Fumi, take a cold shower. It's not going to work out. Because you know what? It's always nice in the beginning. What happens if you break up? Now to go to work is going to be a headache. So I always knew, it was always my MO. Thank you, no thank you. I'm not interested. That's it. Let's be friends. Let me find a girlfriend for you. She's better than me, I promise. I always avoided it because it never ended well. Office romance, anybody will tell you, it will always end badly. I feel very sorry for your children. They did not deserve this, but you caused it. And you know, when you say, oh, women, most of the women, they were so angst to me, they were so this, 100% it would be women, because this is what happens to women. Someday, after 20 years, 25 years, she's raised the children, she has put her career to the side, she has made so many silent sacrifices for the family, for the husband, and then some blonde, of which you are, comes in and takes away everything that she literally just shut her mouth and kept quiet for. It is a very hurtful situation, and if you're in that situation, then you would have understood why all of these women were mad. Because at the end of the day, and I will say it anywhere, you had no business letting him hold you. You had no business going to a concert with him, but you panicked. Oh my God, my husband. Oh my God, his family. Oh my God, my children. Oh my God, my job. All the reasons why you should never have gone there. That's my, little 5 cents. Darlings, drop it down in the comments and let me know how you feel about it. But that's how I felt. The link is there below. It was a fabulous podcast. And Kristin, I wish you the best in you finding another job for your family, for your friends. I truly do. You do not deserve to be burned at the stake. You don't. It was a mistake. And I only know for fact that you have learned, and it will never ever happen again. Be mindful of men. Be very, very mindful, because it seems that you don't make good choices when it comes to men. You have to call me and we'll do the rules together. That was how I got married. That's how I'm happy. That's how I mind my business. That's how I do my thing. You got to stick to the rules. You've got to stick to the rules, even when you're feeling hot, even when your body is on fire. Like they used to say in my modeling days, from the lips to the hips. Yep. What you do now, you pay for later. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, hit the notification button, and I'll see you I'll see you later, my babies. All of my love. Mwah.
She is the woman seen on the Jumbotron at a Coldplay concert in Boston in the arms of her boss and CEO, Andy Byron. And Kristin was the head of HR. And for Kristin, those 15 viral seconds, really, 15 viral seconds opened up an unstoppable floodgate of people mocking her, vitriol, and even death threats. And this past December, she first broke her silence to Lisa Miller of the New York Times. And the headline read, "The ritual shaming of the woman at the Coldplay concert." Kristin Cabot, welcome. Thank you for agreeing to do this.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for doing
Thank you.
So after reading Lisa Miller's article, I asked my team to reach out to you, and you were hesitant, but then we had a conversation on Zoom, and you decided that this would be the only on-camera interview that you're planning to give. Why did you decide to be here today?
Yeah, first I want to thank you for having me. I was reluctant to come, but I'm really grateful to be here. For me, my mom always taught us silence is acceptance. I think I mentioned that in the article. And for me and my family, what happened was not okay. And I felt like by remaining silent, it was somehow accepting what had happened. And I really felt also there's a lot of people out there that experienced something similar that didn't either have the strength to come forward or were too traumatized or lost their lives due to some of the things I experienced. And I feel a sense of responsibility for those people to speak out and share what it's really like when people carelessly comment, forward, click, like, and the damage that it can really do.
So yes, you and I spoke on Zoom. I said, first of all, before the story in the Times, I didn't know the story. I was like everybody else. I didn't watch it hundreds of times or even more than once, but I made the judgment that you had made a mistake and you're out with your boss. And I did not know the crucial part of that story that was left missing from all of the TikToks that were shared. I'm going to let you share that. So take us back to the night of the Coldplay concert and the decision to go to the Coldplay concert?
Yeah, it's a great question. I had been going through, I'll go a little bit before
go
that,
before
if
that,
that's okay. So maybe 4 or 6 weeks prior to the Coldplay concert, my husband and I had decided to separate and were living apart and planning for a divorce. And Andy Byron, my boss at the time, he and I had a very close working relationship. For anyone that's worked in tech in a high growth startup, they'll understand that the chief people officer and the CEO are partners. We work side by side around the clock. It was a high growth startup that was growing at 100% year over year. We were hiring like crazy. And so we were really in it together and spent a ton of time together. And it was about around the time that Andrew and I, my husband, had separated, and Andy, the same name, so forgive me, I'll try to keep up here.
Yeah.
Andy and I had gone out to grab sandwiches during the workday, and he asked me, I seemed a little off, and he just said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Well, my husband and I are separating and planning a divorce," and he immediately let me know that he was in the exact same situation, that he and his wife were living apart, they were planning for a divorce, and it had been many years in the making. So that became like a really instant kind of point of connection for us. And over the next, few weeks to month, that was a place that was really great for me to be able to go to talk about what I was going through, and I was a good safe space for him. And I think probably my friends...
Did you both talk about what it was like going through this separation?
And that was where we started to build a bit of a stronger connection. And I was really surprised when he told me. We didn't talk a lot about our personal lives prior to that, so I didn't expect to hear that from him.
Right.
He had been married a long time, so I just assumed all was well. So leading up to the concert, like at that point, we started talking a lot more about personal things and kids and how it's going and all of that, in addition to the busy and frequent work conversations. And
were you having more lunches? Was it becoming...
Yes, we were. It just felt like a really familiar, like safe place to talk about what was going on. And it's so much easier when someone else is in it, in the same experience. We could share that. So we developed feelings for each other during that time.
Okay, because were you attracted to each other?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why, when people would say, "Oh, they didn't look like friends in the video," like that was the culmination point of feelings that had developed over the course of, 4 to 6 weeks, I would say.
Okay, so when we spoke over Zoom, you said that was the first time you all had done anything publicly. That's the first time you'd actually shared any kind of
physical touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what happened...
At the Coldplay concert, the first time I touched you?
Yes. I'll explain. I'm here to share what really happened, so...
Okay.
I know. There's a lot of context there. So I had friends that had gotten tickets to the show. They asked if I wanted to join. They had 2 extra seats. I never go out, so it's kind of a joke amongst my friends, let alone on a weeknight. I'm usually with my kids or I'm working. And I had just gone through a pretty tough period, and I was like, you know what? It's summer. It's a weeknight. Like, I'm going to go see... I love Coldplay. I'm going to go. Or I loved Coldplay, but that kind of got ruined for me. I'll be honest. Like, not the biggest fan anymore. But it was like such a no-brainer to invite Andy. We when I say we would talk like 10 times a day, that was even before this connection started. It's just the nature of our job and our working relationship. Plus, we were, enjoying spending time together, and it just seemed like we've been...
I just want to be clear. What time had you spent together before?
Lunches at work.
So everything had been business up until the Coldplay concert?
Yes.
Whoa.
Absolutely. Though we'd had a lot of personal conversation and had acknowledged that we had feelings for each other.
Okay.
Also, it was becoming apparent to me that we were putting ourselves in a situation where it was going to get risky from a work standpoint. I mean, I reported to him. It's my role is to actually be aware of those things happening at work and flagging when it might cause a problem.
So was there, I always say that there's a whisper and then there's a pebble and a brick and a brick. Was there a little whisper saying we should tell somebody or we should?
It was more than a whisper.
Okay,
it was like a real conversation where we sat down and said, we have to figure out a plan for this because these feelings are real. This wasn't like a fleeting thing. And we decided that we put kind of a plan together, but we wanted to propose to our board of directors that would change the reporting structure.
Didn't you tell me that you were thinking about going to the board? Or you all were going to go to the board?
We ironically met probably 5 or 6 days before the concert. We had a lunch that was a lengthy lunch to talk about this and to make a plan. And the
plan was to go to the board.
To go to the board and let them know that we had developed feelings for one another and that we wanted to change.
And that it was consensual.
It was consensual, and which is an important point, 100%. And we wanted to propose a plan for what might work to make, take this reporting line out of the equation.
Meaning you reporting to him?
Meaning no longer reporting to him, but perhaps reporting to one of our investors, something like that.
All right, that makes sense.
Seemed like it made sense at the time.
Yeah.
It felt like the right thing to do. And then I got the invitation to Coldplay. I invited him to come. It was sort of a non-decision. It was just kind of like, hey, we got tickets. Do you want to come? And he's like, great, let's go. And I thought, we've kept it.
Why didn't you ask one of your girlfriends?
Well, I was already going with my two best friends who may or may not be in the audience right now.
Okay.
They were, one of them was already going, and the other one is the one that offered me the ticket.
Okay, yeah.
And he's the one I wanted to hang out with. We had a blast together.
Okay.
And we'd been keeping it together. Like, I could go to work and be normal. I can go to a concert and be normal.
Yeah.
Until I couldn't, obviously. But it was just, it seemed like a fun plan.
Got it. So he said yes.
He said
obviously.
yes. Mm-hmm.
And this was the first time
Socially.
you all had done something socially other than meeting for lunches and discussing business.
Or grabbing drinks after work with colleagues and things like that. Yeah.
So you get to the concert and what happened?
Well, I was walking into the concert and my daughter messaged me and said, oh, it's so great that you and Andrew are both at Coldplay. So she let me know that my estranged husband was also at the concert.
So I think it's very important. This is what I did not know before the story, and y'all obviously didn't know either, that she was separated from her husband and that her boss was also separated or said he was separated from his wife. Did y'all know that? No. Okay. All right. Or that her husband was there. This is the thing. So you get texted from one of your children.
Yeah, my daughter was like, this is so fun. Great. And I was like, and in my mind I thought, well, is this going to be weird if he sees me with Andy? Like that crossed
or you
my
run
mind.
into him.
Yeah, if I run into him. But then I was like, I'm in Gillette Stadium. There's 55,000 people here. I'm probably not going to run into him. But it doesn't matter. I mean, that would have been better at the end of the day if I just run into him. But it's, he knows how closely Andy and I work together. He knows we got lunches and got drinks. It was fine.
So he knew that there was a relationship there.
Yes.
He
knows the nature of my work and the way I've shared desks with the CEOs I've worked with. Like, it's just a very close, and so it didn't matter to me.
Okay, I got to get to the moment.
You got to get there.
You all hadn't touched. That's what you said to us earlier. You hadn't even touched.
Well, we did that evening before we started to touch before it was on camera, but
Okay, but that was the first time you all had physically touched each other's
Correct.
Okay.
Other than like a, tap, when you're chatting with someone and you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what made you do it then?
I had a really big crush on him, Oprah.
Yeah.
And so did he. I mean, these were like really incredible feelings, and I don't know women that could relate to this, but I had been going through a really tough time. I was coming out of a separation, and it felt really good to get attention and affection from an awesome man. That it felt good.
You're leaving out a key point here that you shared with me on the Zoom. High noons.
I would love to talk about the high noons.
Yeah.
Can we take a moment?
Look at Gail going, what is that? Gail has never drank anything other than what?
I like a good Shirley Temple.
Oh, she likes a good Shirley Temple. So she just looked I saw you, look, what is a high noon?
I want to talk about the high noons because that became a big topic on the internet for some reason. I told Lisa Miller in the New York Times article that, I'd had a couple of high noons and we were dancing and we got swept up in the moment.
All you need is a couple.
I only had two. So
well, I mean, a two that make you feel like.
Well, that's
Gail used to ask me all the time. I see you getting yourself all liquored up. What does it do for you? I'm not getting liquored up, Gail. It's just a vodka tonic, okay?
Right.
So it does make you, Gail. Alcohol makes you feel a little looser.
Frisky.
Right. Frisky. Not even frisky. It's just a little looser.
Yeah, a little looser. And my only point in mentioning it to Lisa Miller, had I known what would have happened, because suddenly I'm blaming it on alcohol and suddenly, none of that is true. I simply mentioned it to set the tone of the vibe.
Yes, I got
you're
it.
at a concert, it's summer, a couple high noons, you're dancing, you're having fun. Everybody maybe except for you, Gail, has done that and knows what I mean. Like, it's just an easy, like a fun feeling, and that was the vibe that we had, and that's why I shared it. And by the way, I think
Gail will have said, "Do you have a lemonade?
Yeah.
And could you add a dash of cranberry juice?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wild.
So a couple of high noons.
Yeah.
You're feeling really great, and
Yeah.
you're at a concert, and you love Coldplay, and everything's going well.
It felt really good.
Yes.
It also, I should note, it felt really anonymous. And I feel like I need to explain that too, because it didn't look that way on the video. Where we were was at the complete opposite end of Gillette Stadium from the stage. We were in an area called, I think it was called the Pavilion, but it's a big general, it's a sectioned off area where there's no seats. It's general admission in this section, and it holds about 250 people. So we were in that area, and we were kind of up at the front of near the railing. But we were with a group and with friends, so we were dancing and talking, and it was really dark, and we got very swept up, and it didn't feel in any way that we were risking being, and it wasn't even calculated, where we thought to ourselves, like, oh, no one's looking, let's like put our hands on each other. It wasn't that. It just was a natural.
Okay, so let's go to that moment that we have all seen. Have you all seen it? Okay, let's go to the moment we've all seen. So you're swaying. I don't even remember the song. Do you?
Yes.
What was the song?
Yellow.
Okay. Let's Gail.
Yellow.
I used to love Yellow, Gail.
Yeah. So you're swaying to the song, and then you suddenly see yourself on the Jumbotron. You turned around. He ducked. Okay, so you see yourself. Take us to that moment.
Yeah. That was a moment of total horror, is really the best way I can describe it. My immediate thought was, oh my God, my husband's in the building. He was there with someone else, and I knew that, and that was great and fine. But he and I were, in the midst of our separation, incredibly amicable. Like, to this day, he's been one of the biggest supporters of me through all of this.
Yeah.
He's an incredible man. And the last thing I wanted to do was embarrass him. And that was my first thought when I saw myself in that moment.
Isn't there an instance when you're looking at yourself on the Jumbotron? Because I remember Gail and I had gone to an event, Gail, Maria Shriver and I, and for the Pope, and there's Gail on the, remember you saw yourself and you said, who's that red-haired woman? And I go, that red-haired black woman? That would be you. And so, is there a moment when you say to yourself, oh my God, that's me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like a split second where it was like almost, I mean, to me, it's like surreal. I can't even really remember, but I do remember looking and being like, oh my God. Like, I said worse than that. I mean, in my head. But my initial thought was, oh my God, Andrew's here. And my second thought was, oh my God, I'm in the arms of my boss, and I'm the head of HR. Like, this is a really bad look.
Yeah.
Everybody assumed I was horrified because it meant somehow I got busted having an affair. Like, that is not what was happening. I felt like those two reasons were big enough for me in that moment to be really horrified.
Did you even hear
No,
what was said
so I
later?
wanted to share that too. So we were all like dancing, and you know when there's music playing, you're talking, you're kind of whispering in people's ears or yelling in their ears. We were talking and with my friends too, and we didn't hear Chris Martin say we're going to pan the audience. Like, we never heard him warn that he was doing that, and we never heard him say they must be shy or they're having an affair. I had no idea he said that until like days later, or the next day. I don't remember. It was a blur after that night, but I didn't know that at all. I whipped around like Oprah. If we were at a Celtics game and we got put on the Jumbotron, I'm going to whip around. I'm not a Jumbotron girl, even on my best days. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
So I would have probably done some version of that, but in that moment, I was just horrified at
And your first thought was Andrew, your husband,
and my job,
and your job.
Yeah, and the irony of the whole thing, or the naivete of the whole thing, is the entire ride home. We were in an SUV with a group of us. All I was worried about was Andrew. I kept saying maybe he left early, maybe he didn't see it. That was what I thought was the biggest problem I had on my hands.
Why were you worried if you were already separated?
Because we were in the middle of going through our divorce planning, and it was going really. We were doing it in a really amicable way.
He was there with somebody.
He was there with somebody, but Andrew comes from an incredibly private family in the Boston area, and I just knew in my head, like, the public embarrassment is not something that would have gone over well.
Okay, so your first thought was Andrew. What did you all do immediately afterwards? So you turned around, and Andy Byron ducked, your boss at the time, duct.
Yes.
And then did you all immediately leave the
Yeah,
leave the
so
Gillette?
he and I left the area, the general admission area behind that had indoors, had like a bar area and some like tables set up.
Did you leave with your friends or did you?
No, he and I left the standing room area, went through the doors and sat down at one of those tables and we're just like, what just happened? Okay, what is going to happen? And, or what happened?
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain. And that's when I was like, oh my God, Andrew, he was going through his head of what he was worried about. I was thinking about my stuff. And then it was really towards the end of the concert. And about the end of that song, I think my friends came through the door and they're like, let's just get out of here. And so we all left the stadium.
And what were they thinking?
They were just like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. This is like getting struck by lightning.
Yeah.
How on earth, and I can't believe that just happened to you. That's like the worst luck. And then we were in the elevator heading down, and a woman in the elevator was like, wait, was that you on the Jumbotron? And I was like, no. And then my friend Elena looked at me and was like, is that what we're saying? Like, we're saying, no, that wasn't you? Like, what, should we huddle up on this? But we just didn't know we had no concept that this was
Okay, so you were worried about your husband who you're separating from.
Yes.
And the woman that he's there.
I wasn't really worried about that. I didn't want to embarrass him.
Okay.
That I was at my son's, where he works at a surf shop at the beach near our house, and a group of women surrounded my car and in front of my son and started to, harass me verbally and kind of make it hard for me to move my car away from where they were. And it was hard to explain that to my kids. They were really lucky to have their peers show up for them in a really supportive way, but they were struck by how horrific grown-ups were acting. And that's a really hard thing for me to explain to kids that, why, because I didn't even.
Do they even understand why? Because how do you explain to them why the people are hating you so much?
Right. I tried to explain to them kind of what you described. Like, I think I'm representative of something that touches on a lot of fear in people. I didn't know. I was trying to figure it out myself. And I wish I could have showed up for them in better ways than I did, but I did the best I could do in those moments. It was really hard. Going back to school for them was really hard. They didn't want me on their campuses for the first semester or trimester. So I missed, I didn't go to games. I didn't go to parent conferences. I couldn't go to parents' weekend at my son's school. But the schools were wonderful. I worked with them closely to make sure the kids were supported. And like I said, their friends were great.
Do you still talk to Andy Byron, your former boss?
No, I ended communication with Andy in mid-fall. Mm-hmm. But I was left holding the bag. And I don't, being the one that was attacked for this with, he's remained silent. To me, that's not a quality that I would look for in a friend or a partner or a boss. So we have no relationship now.
What would you have wanted him to do or say?
My name is ENITAN, hair coach. I am UK's first ever hair coach and a trichologist. We are a team of trichologists and hair coaches here in W6 London, and we help those who are desperate and have tried and everything else has failed. We look after those who have chronic scalp concerns, flaky, itchy scalp that's been going on for many years. We help those that have hair loss that has progressed instead of improved, and we help those that just generally want to have a better understanding of better quality hair, length, volume, and reduce that dryness. Visit us by clicking